Stare. It is the way to educate your eye and more.
I am at war with the obvious. Hey, welcome to the Street Shots Photography Podcast. This is Antonio.
And this is Ward.
And we're at episode 255. For what?
255. It's the international code. Well, the end of May, yes.
The end of May, yes, but the international code of
Tanzania.
Tanzania. You said, did you know anybody from Tanzania?
I don't know anybody from Tanzania.
No. I had a friend in elementary school. I'm going to totally mess up his last name, I'm sure, but what I remember is Charles Milikozi, and that's not even probably close to what his original pronunciation from. And he was from Tanzania. But as a kid, this is a zillion years ago, someone had told me, like, he's from Tanzania. And I remember also as a kid remembering when, was it the Bugs Bunny cartoons, the Tasmanian Devil? I thought it was the Tanzanian Devil. Anyway, Charles was a very close friend to me, and
cool.
He was from Tanzania. Yeah, I went to my elementary school. There was a lot of kids from the UN. Parents were part of the UN, so we were close to it. My elementary school was on 33rd Street. UN is on 40th Street. So a lot of the parents who were part of the UN put their kids in my public school. So I had a lot of people from. One of my friends was ambassador. And this is during the Cold War. And of course, I could never go to his house because his house was the Romanian embassy, which no one was allowed in. But so he was from Romania. Charles was from Tanzania. So yeah, I had a bit of an international grow up. Anyway, that's my story based on our area code. Sorry, international calling code for today.
Very cool.
But anyway, 255. I'm looking at that number, 255 episodes, and I'm thinking when we did our 200th episode, I can't even remember what the subject was, but that's a big chunk of time, right? You were there for that, right? We were
200. Well, 250. We made a big deal out of 250, which wasn't
250
that long
for
ago.
sure. Do you remember what episode you started with me?
I don't.
No? I'd have to go back and look. Anyway, I was thinking before we connected tonight that I wanted to make sure everybody knows this. I'm saying it out loud again, but I'm incredibly grateful and happy that you're my co-host on the show.
Thanks. I'm happy to do it. And it's great. It keeps my batteries charged photographically.
It does. Yeah. And realizing when I look at the number and thinking how many episodes we've done together, it's a huge amount, probably more than I've done by myself, I think. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I'm pretty sure. Certainly more than I did with my original co-host, Tom. I don't know if he's listening. Tom, hey, thanks.
Hi,
Tom. Thanks for coming up with the name. Thanks for coming up with the name of the show. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a whole tangent. How are you?
All right. I am doing well. As I said before the show, I'm a little bit ambivalent. I think maybe it's the time of year. My work is doing its thing. And I'm I'm kind of antsy. Maybe I need to just get out and take a few days off, which I am. And take some fresh air and do whatever.
Where are you going? What's your days off? What are you planning to do?
Going to the Handtails Lake Stampede. That's the same stampede that Mark Ryerson and I did the book of. I go every year. My wife and I go every year. We have friends there, and we camp together, and we watch the rodeo or not, and we have a great time. It's a social thing, and it's connecting to my cousins. Both my parents' families are from that part of the country, and so I see cousins every time I go out there, and it's a nice break, and it's the right time of the year, kind of the first spring event to go out and do something, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you gonna be shooting?
I am. I'm going to. It's supposed to rain. But I will use my XS20, which I think is weather sealed. I know
the Success 20.
The Success 20, and a couple of lenses. I don't think the zoom I bought from you is weather sealed, but I'll do my best. I'll bring plastic bags and the big Costco Terry towels and whatever.
Yeah.
I will be ready.
Do you ever try to shoot with an umbrella?
No, I've not
like a
shot
small
with
one?
an umbrella. No, I've shot underneath the hood of a very large windbreaker that had a hood. That worked.
Oh, really?
That worked. Yeah, you pull it up a little bit over your shoulder so it kind of goes over your head. I've done that.
Well, hopefully it won't be raining too hard. So you might.
No, if it is, I'll just shoot with the phone. I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to switch to my Think Tank Speed Freak bag, which is the bag that I use when I go to the auto races, which is a hip bag. It's a very lovely. I don't even know if you can buy them anymore. I know they have them in the catalog, but they seem to be perpetually out of stock. So
I think you told me about that once, and I did look, and I couldn't find them. So
yeah, they're really nice, and it's like a kidney shaped. You look at it from the top; it's kind of kidney shaped, and easily take two bodies with long lenses. And
really, wow,
it's a lovely, like a photojournalist bag, sports bag.
You wrap it around your. It's only a hip pack.
No, it's got a shoulder, but it does have a belt. I mean, if you want to attach it to your hip, you can.
I see.
And that's all tucked in underneath. It's clever as heck. It's lovely. Yeah.
Are you like me? Do you collect a lot of bags?
I thought I did. I don't really. I mean, once I got the Think Tank bag, I really didn't go much further than that. I do have. I've forgotten what it's called. The one I use now, my mirrorless one. Goodness, I've forgotten the name of the model of the bag, but it's also a Think Tank. And what I like about it is it takes the shape of whatever you have in it. It's not a particularly rigid bag, and there's so much Velcro on it. You can kind of wrap the flap right kind of underneath. So it's great for the plane. You know, you can just toss it underneath the seat in front of you and not worry about it. And
Can you put padding in it? I mean, so that you're not.
You can. I don't. Yeah, it does. It does have a bit of padding in it, but it's not. I mean, it's not meant to bounce around as much as the Speed Freak one. But I just like its smaller profile, and I can put a lot of gear in there. And then the idea is it's small enough that I can more or less comfortably have it on my hip when I'm walking around Japan or whatever when I'm street shooting. Well, I had it when I was with you in New York. So
I don't remember. But
yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It's not helping, but
yeah.
No, I really like Think Tank. I think they've got accessories and they've got places to put your little wallet things to put your memory sticks and memory cards and just clever things. I'm a big fan.
I'm still in search of the perfect bag. I mean, and I don't even know what that is because depending on what I'm going to do. I have a different bag for almost every occasion, and I still look for a long time ago I had Domke bag, which I thought was like what was it, the F2? I think that's what it was called. It's like the typical Domke bag that had the pouches on the side. And to me, that really represented photography. There was something about seeing a photographer with one of those around their shoulders and the way they just sort of flopped there and, they were made of canvas and stuff. And I had one, actually I still have it, and they do hold up after a while, except they have these little rubber, I don't know, sort of threads woven into the strap so that it can grip on your shoulders, but the rubber eventually dies. And then you get all this little rubber crap everywhere. There's little pieces of rubber inside the bag and on your shoulder and on the floor because it just dries up and breaks up. And I don't like that. But I've always liked that bag because it felt like a photographer's bag, but not very practical for terms of protection of gear, But one of the things, and I never tested this, one of the things they said is, it gets waterproof once it gets wet because the water contracts the threads on the Domke, and so then it sort of becomes not waterproof, but it sort
water
of
resistant.
I never tried that. I was like, I'm never going to put my cameras out in the rain that much. But I've got so many bags. I think I collect bags like some people collect shoes, And I'm always sitting there trying to figure out, what bag is it today? Like, what camera I'm going to carry? I was like, I'm going to carry the GFX. So I need something that can be, an extra lens, but do I want to do a cross strap thing? Anyway, it takes me an hour to figure out what bag I want. And
right.
So anyway,
I have basically two options, and that's fine.
Yeah. I guess if you don't only have two options.
Or I just go out with the camera by itself and
yeah.
So,
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have fun at that. I hope to see
I will.
some pictures after that. Yeah. So, what else? That's it.
What about you?
What about me?
Yeah,
gosh.
what did you had some things going on, some
Well, I got a few
weather
things. I
kind of
did
stuff.
want to mention, this is my first time living through a tornado siren. And
Wow.
I'm always forgetting now, is it a watch or a warning? But we had the siren go off and we had preparations for heading down into our shelter down in the basement. But I got some really cool photographs of the clouds. There wasn't a tornado here. There was a couple places in Nebraska the tornadoes hit. One place damaged or destroyed 3 or 4 houses. But it was one of the things that, and not that I want to see a tornado, but the weather, the clouds were so beautiful after the storm. We had this huge storm come over. And after it passed and everything was so quiet, nobody was outside, and it was sunset too. So the sun was lighting underneath the clouds. And I got these great shots of these crazy clouds, which I'd never seen before. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, but photographically, what I've been doing, I wanted to mention, what did I want to mention? I think I sent you guys on our Unusual Collectives web Discord a new film simulation that I came up with. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to. I've been using this film simulation since I've put it up on our group. There is something about it, in the way I told you how I did it, but I saw this photograph on, I don't know, I think it popped up on my Facebook feed. So it was a portrait of 3 or 4 children in a sort of overcast, and they were in bathing suits, and it had a real like medium format, like Sally Mann kind of vibe to it, but it was color, and there was something about the color that I just loved. So I took that image and I dropped it into ChatGPT, and just like our brother in light, Dave, does with, when he goes to ChatGPT to make the presets and the simulations, I said, well, give me a film simulation for this. And ChatGPT spit something out, and I plugged it in, and it was pretty close. There are certain limitations that the film simulation, it's like maybe not that best in sunlight, it's better with overcast. But I plugged that in, and I have fallen in love with that color set. And I don't use this word a lot because I'm not a big fan of it, but it's got a very melancholic feel to the imagery, no matter what I'm taking a shot of. And so with like any kind of film simulation or picture profile, it doesn't fit every subject,
Right.
but certain subjects it fit really nicely. And so I plugged it into pretty much every camera that I'm walking around with shooting. So my X100, my XM, and my XE. Yeah, sorry. Because I'm picking up, I pick up different cameras like for different experiences as well.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Maybe I'll put one of those up in the show notes or something if I can. But some people might think it's a little too green. Take out sometimes some of the green in it, but there is some quality to it. And this harkens back to one of the shows we did a while back about color and how it affects emotions. And we all know that, from movies, and photography as well can really affect what you're feeling by just altering the colors, So it's kind of nice that it's already built into the camera. It's something I have to process in the end. But anyway,
Yeah.
I've been doing that. But this weekend we went to this flea market in a town called Brownville, which is southeast of Lincoln. It's right on the Missouri River, and it was this giant flea market. This is one main street, just goes all the way down, and there's a million vendors, and they're all selling junk.
Yeah.
Lots of junk and lots of cool stuff, though. I mean, there's just like, if you really wanted, I was thinking, boy, I could make a fortune buying stuff here for cheap and then driving it to New York and selling it at a flea market there. But before I tell you what I bought, we went there, and then we were right on the Missouri River, and we saw this big paddle boat that was owned by the Army Corps engineers.
Oh, okay.
They used for dredging the Missouri River. But because we were so close to Missouri, we drove over the bridge across the state lines, went into Missouri so we could say, hey, we went to Missouri too. I've never been to Missouri, by the way. So I crossed did something new, and then we just turned around and came back. But before I even called, I was like, what did you go? Show me your papers.
Yeah. They have a distinct German accent.
Yes, and Missouri is the show me state, right? Show me your papers. Yeah, before anybody found out that we went there. Anyway, while I was walking around the flea market, tried not to buy anything. I was looking around, I was like, I don't need more junk. I've got so much junk, if you could see in the background of the video here, stuff lying everywhere. But I did come across, it was glowing. It was standing.
You heard the angels singing, right?
I heard the angels sing, but it was like near it was one of the last booths on the strip, and it is a Kodak Brownie Target 616 camera. So basically a box Brownie, right? It was in mint condition. I was looking at it, my eyes were like, you got to be kidding me. This thing it looks like it just came out of the box, and there was also a box there with it. So I went over to it, and it was $30, and I thought, you know what? That doesn't seem like, an unreasonable price.
For the condition it is, yeah.
It was perfect, so I bought it. So I did walk out with something, a box Brownie, and I'm going to show the box here on the camera so people who are watching the video can see. But let me see if I can show you the quality of it. So, yeah.
I do love Kodak yellow.
Kodak yellow there should be a paint color.
Well, it's a Pantone color, isn't it?
It should. It came with the woman who was selling it thought it was instructions, but it's actually a fact sheet for Kodacolor film. So I got this little fact sheet for exposing Kodacolor film.
What speed was Kodacolor film in that era?
Good question. Let's see. It was ASA. I think this is 100.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I think so. Yeah, because
so we're talking film was 40s, late 40s, early 50s, and 50s.
Well, this camera was made. Yeah, there's a small period of time that this camera was made, and let me see if I can get it right. Specifically, it was made from July 46 to 1951. Someone's got a real thing about that. But here, take a look at this. Look how clean this is. It is beautiful. It looks like
the little sight glass viewfinders, like they actually work. They're not like cloudy.
Yes, no, they're not cloudy. You can actually. The thing about this camera is it's got two viewfinders: one for viewing the subject matter horizontally, and one for viewing it vertically. So you turn these two viewfinders, and you have to hold it a certain distance from your eye in order to see see in there. But it's got this neat Art Deco front on it.
Nice.
And the meniscus lens.
Target 616.
Target 616. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got one shutter speed. It's got two aperture settings. Well, actually, one aperture, you have to slide it back and forth. I think it's f11 to f16.
Okay.
And it took me a while to figure out how to open the bloody thing, but I did, and it is perfectly clean inside. It almost looks like no film has ever run through it.
And you got a spool?
There is a take-up spool in it, yes. There's also a little window for, seeing what the film number is. The trouble is, and you know this, that current 120 film, which is the largest film you can get, won't fit in this natively. So you have to get these little spacers in the reels to... The 120 film is a little shorter reel than the 616 film is, and you can get them printed, like they're 3D printed kinds people can buy. But I read something cool. Someone said that you could use nickels
to shim.
You could use nickels as shims and shim them between the take-up reels, like put them on the take-up reels and put them on the film reel, and those are the right amount of space. And I haven't tried it yet because I need to find a sort of an old roll of film that I can expose and play around with, which is probably a decent sacrifice, and see if the nickel thing works. Because if the nickel thing works, I love that idea, because it seems so, like, I don't know, I'm going to say steampunky. It just seems so improvisational.
Yeah.
Rather than, buying, $20, 3D spacers, which I might do anyway if the nickels don't work. But
yeah.
And it takes a 2.5 by 4.5 negative. Right. So it's a little bit panoramic.
Right. Very cool.
And I was looking on websites, and they talk about how you can, how many turns you have to do to make sure you don't overlap the film. So I don't know. I've got a plan. I've got a bit of a plan to run some film through this, and it's in better condition than the one I've got. I've got a couple of these box brownies, and they're really old, and the straps are so dry that they
crumble.
The leather's dried. This actually, what does it say on the strap? It says Brownie Target 6-16. So beautiful camera. It's really beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I didn't buy it just to display it. I really want to use it.
No, it's you really use it. Yeah, I got one I got from a relative. It's a early 30s. Kodak made them in Canada too in that era, and I think it's called a 2A, and it uses 120 film, and it's a 6x9 centimeter negative.
Wow.
With the meniscus lens. And I did send you a gallery of the pictures I took with it. You get 8 frames. You get 8 frames out of a roll of 120. And I've only run the one roll through it. HP5, I went through it. Yeah, one shutter speed, 50th of a second. No adjustment for the aperture on this one. It's just between 8 and 11 is what I could surmise. I walked around a small town that we were camping in years and years ago, maybe 2015, somewhere in there, and just took pictures. Took pictures of the local church and the campground and stuff, and it was fun. It's fun. It's it's made out of vinyl covered cardboard and a bit of spring material and like a little bit of glass and a single element meniscus lens. It's a very pure, basic form of creating images.
I often bring one of these to my classes to show the students, like, you don't need all the fancy gear. People were making actually very nice pictures with just this little box. I mean, yes, you don't have a lot of control over the image that you can get, but just to show them, like, basically here's a box with a hole in it and some film, and that's it. And people were having a great time with this. So I was like, I would love to say, like, this is the equivalent of the iPhone back then when it came out.
Yeah.
And along with this, I actually found some Kodak books. Once I was looking for the manual for this, and I found it. I actually got the manual. So the taking pictures is easy with the 6-20 or 6-16 Target Brownie. And they listed 4 different films. Kodak Verichrome film.
Verichrome was 125. I mean, they made Verichrome right up to, because I used to shoot black and white in 126 film on my little Instamatic. They made Verichrome for that. I really like that film, actually.
I totally forgot about that. There's Kodak
Verichrome
Plus. Yeah, there's Kodak Plus X panchromatic film, high speed fine grain. They're saying whatever high speed is in their words. This I've never heard of. Kodak Super Double X panchromatic film. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Snapshots
I've heard
at
it in
night
sheet
with
film.
Double X?
Double X pan. They had a sheet film.
I never heard that.
Yeah,
I never heard that. Super Double X is not recommended for snapshots in sunlight with these cameras. 8 exposures, blah, blah, blah. And then Kodacolor film. It's got 4 films listed here. Anyway, but there was another book that I found on the Internet Archive called, what is it? It's called How to Make Good Pictures, a book for the amateur photographer. And there's actually a page on street photography.
Okay, do tell.
Oh, if I could find it. I don't want to spend time.
Okay.
It's 170 pages. But there was this one page about how to, like, try to take pictures so that the people aren't seeing you, basically saying be sneaky.
Yeah.
So that you can actually record what's going on without people noticing you and without changing the whatever is going on in the subject. Oh, here we go. Street photography. Yeah. The successful picturing of street scenes requires both thought and skill on the part of the amateur. He must bear in mind that he will have to work quickly and quietly, attracting as little attention as possible. And he must be able to take in a pleasing and interesting situation at a glance. Okay. Let's see it. Okay, a good many pictures of street scenes show that a number of persons were looking at the camera when the exposure was made. For instance, take a group of youngsters interested in some game. Their action, intensity, and unconsciousness is what makes the picture. let them become aware of your purpose, the game stops and all stare at the camera, thus spoiling the opportunity for a successful bit of work.
Okay.
Well,
it's all fairly straightforward except for the paternalistic bent in it. I think.
I get that, but it's funny that it's like, we're still talking street photography, and these guys are talking about like being sneaky on the streets. Kodak was doing that. Anyway, so this also then ties into, we have one of these shows where we're just gonna be talking stuff, so you guys can hang out with us. We've been told we've had some. Well, actually, you know what? You go. I'm talking too much.
We're still in the preamble. How long has it been? It's been half an hour.
This is the show.
We're still in the preamble. We're in the show.
We're in the show.
So we have some thanks to give.
Yes.
Each of us received a book from Bob Patterson from Street Photography Magazine. Now, if you know Bob Patterson, you listen to podcasts, you probably know Bob from the Street Photography Magazine podcast. And Antonio's looking around for something. I'm not sure what he's I thought maybe there was something running around his office. I wasn't sure there for a second.
No, keep talking.
Anyway,
I'm looking for the book.
They came out here this last year with a book called Where the Streets Lead. And Bob was nice enough to send each of us a copy, and he dedicated
I got it here so that I can show it on the.
Oh, look at that! And do you know whose picture that is on the front? That's our newer friend.
That's
Gavin Labotte. He's our only Australian interview, if I remember correctly, our discussion with him. And it's a lovely book of images from their subscribers from all over the world. And it is a wonderful cross-section of street photographers, and it's a lovely project. And Antonio and I are very happy and honored to have that. So
thank you, Bob. Thank you so much.
Amazing. And as I told you before the show, I haven't sent him my thanks yet, but I'll do that as soon as we're done recording here. It's really good. And we'll put a link in the show notes to where you can find that. And he seems like, with what I've heard and listening to his podcast and with the dedications that he wrote in each of our books, that he's one of us, I think. We should have him on the show, or we'll be on his show, or we'll figure something out.
Yeah, or we can do one of those mashups like we did with
the mashups with the time and space dimension.
Yeah. He not only has the Street Photography Magazine, he's got as I mentioned, the Street Photography Magazine podcast. He just started a Substack. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, and I think he had noted in the podcast, I think he was noting that he was kind of struggling with it, getting content out. But he generates so much content to begin with, right. As a publisher, and I think he's transferred the editor publishing to his. Now I've forgotten her name.
Ashley.
I was going to say Ashley, but I didn't want to get it wrong. Ashley
Rifo, yeah.
Rifo, yeah. So she's steering the ship right now, but it's really lovely to hear from you, Bob, and all the best, man.
Yeah, and he wrote dedications in both of our books. I love when someone sends us a book and they sign it. So it really feels like something special.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
Well, thank you, Bob. And we will put the links to get the book in there. I think it's $40, which seems incredibly reasonable for this book. It's well printed too. It's incredibly well printed. It really feels premium, and every photographer in here has a little story about the picture that they have in the book. So it's a nice read as well. So
it's not just it's really good.
Yeah, it's been a week of getting cool stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But so to let's tennis, let's pickleball back and forth here. Let's volley.
All right. Okay. What do you got going on?
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention, and some people might know this already, but I back a lot of Kickstarter stuff. I'm like sort of addicted to Kickstarter. Often it's games that I'm buying. Actually, I've bought a lot of games on Kickstarter, but something popped up and it's been on my radar for a little while. And where did I put tab? I just have to click on our link. Something from a company called, actually I know what their company is called. Alfie.
Alfie Cameras.
Yeah. Alfie Cameras, right? They've made homemade cameras, and they've put them on Kickstarter before, but this one I actually seen a while back, and I got really interested in it. The Alfie Box BOXX camera is a small wooden analog box camera designed, well, I'm just reading this, designed to bring photography back to a slower, more physical process. It looks like a little 4x5 field camera, right? It doesn't have a bellows. It's basically a box with a lens board on the front and a film holder in the back with a ground glass. The cool idea, first of all, it's really small. It's probably about the size of the Box Brownie camera. It's teeny tiny.
Okay. Yeah, it looks bigger in the pictures, doesn't it?
No, it's like you can hold it in one hand, right? And the main idea for this is that it has these little quote unquote film holders that you stick in the back, just like a 4x5 camera. But instead of film, it holds paper. So you're essentially creating a paper negative from this. But the cool thing doesn't stop there. The cool thing is that the film holders are where you develop the picture. So you're supposed to develop this in the field. So the film holder has got a little channel that you pump processing chemicals into. And while the paper's in there, after you've exposed it, you take it out, you got a big syringe with, you pump in 10 milliliters of liquid, you slosh it around a little bit, you drain it, and you pump 3 different chemicals in it, and then you open up the slide, and then you put more developer on it, and you can, I think, actually, I've seen it both create a negative and a positive.
So you can do positives right out of cool.
Yes, you could do positives out of it. I haven't read anything further about how that's done, because I've seen a negative come out of it as well, and then you reverse print it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It has the holders themselves are magnetically pieced together, so you can pop them apart so that we can get to your negative, right? But it's got a little dark slide as well. So you pull that out, you expose. It comes with, I got the full kit. So it's going to come with 100 millimeter, I'm going to read this. I don't even know what this is. 100 millimeter Wollaston lens, Wollaston lens for portraits.
Okay.
A 55 millimeter Steinheil periscopic lens for a wider view, and a 65 millimeter pinhole lens for a softer, more experimental look. It's stained lacquer wood with brass fittings. It's got tri-pound mounts for horizontal and vertical orientation. Comes with the chemistry, and I bought paper from them, but I'm sure that they give indications of what other kind of paper you can buy. And I think I don't know what the size is. It's a weird size, but I think it fits a certain size paper. Maybe you have to cut it. I don't know. But I saw this and I was like, I got to get this. And there is something, like, it's not tin type. They might make a version that could fit glass. No, they can't fit glass because of the thickness of the holders. But they said they might be able to fit tin in it. It's not a definite thing. But even just the paper negatives themselves, you think of, a one-time shot created like a Polaroid, done in this. Oh, and you have the shutter is basically you removing the lens cap.
Oh yeah,
putting
so
back on.
Like our friend Shane in North Dakota. Like it's
yes, there is no shutter on this thing. It does come with little aperture.
They're drop-in, they're like a slot drop in the lens
exactly.
or something. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can drop these things in to change your exposure. I watched the videos on how he's making them, and I just thought it was really cool. So it's supposed to come out in October, which I'm kind of like, this is something I really want now. I don't know why, because it seems like summer would be a great time to use it, because, getting into winter, it doesn't seem like it's going to be all that exciting to go outside.
Well, they're building them right now and lacquering the wood and polishing the brass. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping, could you send me one as a prototype to play with? I would love to bring it to one of my classes. So show them, actually do something like that but yeah. So you took a look at it. What do you think?
I think it's great. I really like the look of the brass and the lens board and all that kind of stuff. I did experiment, I think, once when I was a teenager with a pinhole. I tried to do paper negatives. It was really a bit of a bust, but it was fun. It really does slow you down, though. I mean, for me, I had to expose and then expose for who knows how long, 4 minutes or something, because it was a pinhole camera, and then go back into the dark room right away and then process the paper negative and then put another piece of paper in, go somewhere else in town and do it. It was like, it was not, the gratification was a little bit too delayed for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I really like the idea. I'll be curious about your experience with it when you do get it going.
Well,
so
to be continued in October when I finally get this thing. I think it's coming in from the UK. That's where they're building it. So, but yeah, I like, and I got the kit with the 3 different lenses. I'm really, really curious as what I'm going to do with it. Like this and the Brownie camera. I would love to do things with both of them, do some projects with them.
I think given the focal length, 100 millimeter portrait, just do portraits. I think that would be fun. Get people to sit still or not. I know you had expressed you're really moved by that slight movement of people that are in, in Shane's pictures, right? That life that happens. Oh yeah, that 9-second exposure, and there was life that happened in those 9 seconds. So you can
that's really interesting.
Experience that,
Yeah, I totally forgot that.
So,
but if anybody wants it, you got to check out Kickstarter. Look for the Alfie ALFIE box camera. I think some of the, if some of the kits are already the early adopter kits are going fast. I don't have any connection with these guys, so if it's one of those things, I'm not trying to push them or anything like that. But if anybody's interested in that, I wouldn't wait, because it looks like they're selling pretty quickly. So
cool.
Yeah. No, I thought it was incredibly neat to see the results of it too. That's the thing. So
right.
But and the other thing I wanted to bring up, and it's related to taking one picture at a time, was I was watching our friend. It's funny, he's been on the show once. I'm calling him our friend.
Yeah.
Everybody who's been on the show is a friend of the show.
This is a friend,
as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
it's a friend.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, but I was watching the latest video from our friend Alex Kilby, the photographic eye. He was talking about William Eggleston. And how the title's funny. It's William Eggleston, what do you say? Fixed digital photography's biggest flaw. Nice title, But I watched this video of him sort of analyzing and figuring out what Eggleston was doing by taking one picture of every subject.
Right. There's no no extra, no just in case. He just shot one image and moved on.
He just shot one image and moved on. I did not know that, which was really interesting. He also had some video clips or audio of Eggleston talking about how if he had shot more than one picture, how confused he would get trying to figure out which picture was the picture to use. And Kilby pretty much, I'll put the link in the show notes for this one too, but Kilby was saying how we've gotten sort of very spoiled by having ruined. He went so far to say, by the LCD screen on the back of the camera. Because, and I know this for a fact, from myself, when shooting a job or something like that, we tend to shoot tons and tons of pictures, and then we're then going through millions of shots to try to find the one picture.
Right.
And, Eggleston was, I think there was maybe a practical matter to this as well, because he's using film. Not that film was expensive back then, but I think he was, also the result of using one picture at a time is that you stretch out a roll of film for quite some time.
Yeah. It's economic to do that.
Yeah. And especially now. So, thinking about the Alfie box and stuff like that, there's going to be, and that's built into the thing. And today we have the, the ability to, I know this when I'm photographing birds, because I have the setting on, I don't know, low, 5 or 6 frames a second. And even 5 or 6 frames a second means that, I end up with, 12 shots of a bird that, and I have to go through them and see which one is sharp, which one's not sharp, I don't know if that's a fair comparison, because, birds are twitchy all over the place, and so it's useful to have that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I found it really very interesting. But as I was watching this, I fell asleep. It wasn't because it was boring. I was really tired and I actually fell asleep at the end of it. But somewhere in the video, I heard this phrase. Let me bring it up so I'm not misquoting it. I thought that Alex mentioned this Japanese word Zanshin, and I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing it right. But it translates to remaining mind or remaining spirit. And it referred to the eighth, I'm just going to read this from what I have written so I don't misquote it. The eighth and final stage of shooting ritual in Kyodo. Am I pronouncing that right? Kyudu, which is the archery. It's the practice where an archer holds their physical posture and intense mental focus for several seconds after the release of the arrow. Right?
Okay.
The state of heightened awareness allows the archer to be entirely present with the consequences of their action without immediate judgment, regret, or celebration. So I heard this, and so I went back to the video to try to find it, and he didn't say this in the video. I searched it all over. I don't know where this came from, but someone referred to this in relationship to photography. And so I don't know. I'm sorry if whoever said this, and if it's Alex and you edited out, apologies. I thought it came from his video. It didn't, because I searched the transcript. And I didn't just make it up. I didn't just dream it. Well, maybe I did. Maybe I heard it but I swear.
Well, you got the word right. You looked it up and it was an actual word that meant what you thought it meant.
I didn't know the word right off the bat. I actually had to search for the phrase. I said, what is the phrase for a Japanese archer holding their stance after the arrow is fired? He gave me this. Anyway, I was interested in this in relationship to Eggleston. Not a direct connection, because I think Eggleston, from what Kilby was saying, is, would spend time looking around, sort of doing the opposite, doing the reverse. He would spend time being mindful of the subject before he took the picture, right? The Zanshin is the concept of being present after you take the picture, which Eggleston might have done. But I thought it was an interesting. I thought it was an interesting sort of mashup between the two concepts.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's cool. I mean, there's anything we can do to increase the mindfulness of our shooting is going to help. I mean, it's one way to well, I don't know, address chimping or whatever you want to say. It's just to keep you in the act of shooting, I think, as opposed to evaluation and I got it, which I actually succumb to.
Connected to an Eggleston style work, which is he's doing it before that. What do you think? I mean, we've talked about this before, about the mindfulness of photography, but
just the way Eggleston shot. Or so you're asking.
Well, Eggleston's shooting with film, right? So he naturally does not have an LCD screen or anything to look at and move himself out of the moment. But he's spending the time prior to releasing the shutter, looking at a subject, taking the one picture, right? And in his case, it's because he doesn't want to get confused. We don't know what he's done after, right? But I'm sort of wanting to talk about the conjunction of those two kind of philosophies. So the idea that one would spend time looking at a subject and maybe minimizing the amount of photography one does, but then one that's done still being in the moment with the subject. Whereas I think what I see a lot of, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, and I'm going to think about photographers who are just getting into this, or people who are just having cameras where they see something, they take 20 pictures of it, and then they move on, right? And so there's that exploration part both before and after that's missing. So
I'm just thinking the way Eggleston shot was he took care to be at the right place at the right time, so that all there was the one shot. That's what I would imagine.
Well, he was also photographing something that was interesting to him, something caught his.
But I mean, that's part of it too. Yeah, caught his eye, and then I mean, I've seen YouTube videos of him walking around on the street and doing whatever, and he's very deliberate about where he goes to shoot, right? The position that he puts himself in to take the shot. And like you say, or like we've discovered tonight, that he doesn't need to revisit that. He's got what he wants out of it. I mean, that's an aspect of shooting. That's a kind of archery. You have your one shot. You've only got so many arrows in your quiver, and that I think that metaphor is really good, and I think it makes perfect sense. But that posing or relaxing or concentration that happens after you release the arrow or after you trip the shutter, that's a good question. Like, because I don't think I do that on the street so much. I tend to be the more, that didn't work, or, oh, that's great, I think I got it. Maybe there's a lesson there.
Well, street is a different kind of thing because it depends on what you're doing. I mean,
there's a flow. Like I look at those videos of how Eggleston worked, and he is just kind of, he's not shooting street in the way that I imagine or that I've done, or he's looking for these static subjects in rooms and places and artifacts. It's a different concentration of energy. I don't know. I think going to the mindfulness, and I know you had done some work, in prep for your class about taking that whole philosophy of Zanshin and, doing sort of what Eggleston did, right? Lining up the shot, doing what you need to do in order to get it, take the picture and then live with it, like live with the moment of you capturing what you got.
Right. One of the things that Kilby tells his audience to do, I mean, he's got a community around his YouTube page, is to, he gives out a little project, and he says, your project now is to take 12 pictures in, succession, put some tape over your LCD screen so you're not looking at it at all, and take the 12 pictures and be fine with that. He doesn't say how long it's going to take or whatever, but getting back to this is how we used to use film, and we were fine with that. I remember, I mean, we had no way to check it until we got the film back, or you processed the film in the dark room, or sent it out to Kodak, and you made the best guess possible for what you were going to get. The more experience you had, the more confident you were in the picture, but you still didn't know. You still didn't, until you had that thing in front of you, like the slide or the negative in front of you. You still didn't know anything. And I'm all for the digital screen. I mean, it's made life easier for especially mirrorless cameras, where you can actually see what the process looks like, and you're not having to guess or something like that if you want that. I'm all for doing that. And, here I am thinking, well, I'm going to go buy an Alfie box camera, so that I'm forced to, by its very physical nature, that I can only take one picture at a time. It's going to take a very long time. So I have to be present before the picture, and in some way I have to be present after the picture, because I have to process it, and there's time spent with that, and whatever I'm taking a picture of, I'm gonna have to spend some extra time with that. And do the rest of the world need to buy an Alfie box camera in order to slow down? And one of the things I haven't started my class yet. My class starts in July, so I'm working on the presentation now. But once I saw that video of his, I decided to sort of retool one of my classes, so I'm giving the students an assignment where they should only take 12 pictures in succession without any kind of thing. But I also want to pull in this idea of following through with the picture, rather than taking the picture and moving on, right? Okay, I got this thing, move on. Whereas maybe they can spend some time just, I don't know. I'm having a hard time articulating.
Yeah, well, it's a different. Well, no, it's an exercise. Right? It's a practice, and I mean, it's hard to articulate maybe because we just haven't done it.
Right.
And I think it's a worthy thing to do. Yeah, maybe I'll try it this weekend at the rodeo, see what I can do, because I've got some things to say. I got some things to say after this about film simulations. We didn't talk about that, but
yeah,
the whole thing of doing something like if you're working in an analog process, or you're mocking, or what's the word I'm looking for? You're simulating an analog process by flipping the screen over or covering it with tape. It's a modification in your practice, and all you can do is do it to see whether it produces something, maybe not even in the photographs themselves, which it very well might, or what it does to your state of mind when you're shooting. Like, you and I shoot in different modes enough that there's a different mindset you need. If you're shooting street, or you're shooting
right.
a pro gig, or your studio stuff, or me if I'm shooting sports, there's a different kind of awareness, a different zeitgeist of what's going on around you. And if it's maybe you can do this with all genres of photography, but I think it would be a good thing to practice, just to see what it does to you as an artist to go through this process. Well, it's a meditation, right? You're really turning the process into shooting it into a meditation.
Right. We were talking for the past couple of episodes about how we've been sort of in a slump, right? And not, taking pictures of mundane things. And also, just as a parenthesis, we've been posting some mundane pictures in our own Discord, just opening up the sort of the gates to just taking a picture and putting it in there and calling it mundane. And they tend not to be mundane, which is really interesting. I think. No. But
they're commonplace subjects,
yeah.
I want to say that we bring a talent to that, where we bring a talent to our practice of photography, so that we can take those common subjects and elevate them. I mean, and it's a way to produce something that makes you feel good about a boring subject, and also see the talent that in each other,
right,
to shoot these quote unquote boring subjects. I mean, it's kind of nourishing, actually. It's just sort of like, these are pictures I take every day. And I think we talked in the last show about, I take, pictures very often every day of like boring stuff that's going on, the way the light hits the, the front closet in the morning. Like,
right.
I just take it because I think it looks interesting. I'm not really there to publish it to anybody. I'm like, no, I can paste that into the Discord for everyone to look at if they want. No, it's good. It's just a different deal.
I'm thinking that, like you said, something like doing an Eggleston style photography, and then follow through with, sorry, I'm spacing out a second here. Follow through with a Zanshin style, meditation afterwards doesn't work with every subject, right? And it's not going to really work in the street. It may not work for landscapes, may not work for a lot of stuff. But when we were sort of stuck in our own, we're not sure what to take pictures of, we haven't gone out with our camera, and blah, blah, blah. And when you just said it could be a meditation, right? Which means that we can go out and photograph. We don't have to take pictures of anything that's important. We can just use the camera to pull us along, to maybe keep us in practice, so that we don't feel like we're just sort of wasting away and not working at photography. And we'd be very okay with photographing mundane subjects, which is what, funny enough, Eggleston seemed to focus on a lot. And not that we're out here to try to copy him, but using that kind of process, his style, or anybody who's like him that does that kind of work, to move us out of thinking, well, we don't have anything to shoot, we're kind of bored, the world is not, there's nothing there, and we're going to create mundane subjects, and so maybe we won't even bother doing that. You just in the case of what you're saying, like, yes, well, I like to encourage people to meditate. I meditate pretty much every day. Sometimes I forget, or I just don't get around to it. But I find that, having that having, even 10 minutes of mindfulness in me seems to, well, doesn't hurt, number one, and how to do that photographically, on the front end and on the tail end. The front end is exploration. It doesn't have to be anything interesting. On the tail end, it's spending time. Actually, I liked what was written about Zanshin is preserving the emotional echo, right? So just as the shot in Kyudo doesn't truly end until Zanshin is completed and the bow is finally lowered, a photograph shouldn't end the millisecond the shutter clicks, right? The camera being raised for a beat preserves maybe what might be called an emotional echo of the frame, prevents physical motion blur because...
I see. So the things that happen in the body at the tail end when you think you got it, you're not...
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And transforming the act of creating from an aggressive taking a photo into a continuous mindful observation.
Okay. Cool.
So that it may not be the, cup of tea for everybody, but when we, we can get stuck in a rut in the winter and the summer, it doesn't matter when. We're starting to be in good weather now, and we're both sort of like, I don't know when I'm going to photograph. But I like this idea of what we were doing mundane. I actually posted some quote unquote, I said mundane flowers. And I took some shots of some flowers. I used that film simulation, which now I want to sort of segue into what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
And, flowers I might find are mundane, but people were saying, far from it. And I was like, really? And like, yeah. And I'm not doing it for accolades. I just think, what we think is mundane to somebody else might not be,
Right.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's enough of this for now. We can come back to this at some other. I'd like to explore this some more with you, and maybe, if anybody is listening, they have some thoughts about that. I would love to hear it. But speaking of film simulations, I want to hear. But you've got a couple things you want to talk about before.
So it may or may not be related to. But you're talking about that nostalgic film simulation that you had ChatGPT come up with, and I thought I would try to relive some of my film days by putting a Tri-X film simulation in one of my XE3s and putting a manual focus lens on it and putting the flash on it, although I haven't used the flash yet. I probably will this weekend. And shoot and pretend and just do JPEGs straight out of the camera and see what I can come up with. And I went out and walked around for a little bit during I do like a 3-kilometer walk, like a 2-mile walk, hopefully every day, not always every day, and just have the camera with me and see what I can do. And I'm really having a hard time because, the film simulation looks like Tri-X and everything. And it's like, I know I don't have darkroom anymore because I really rely on my idea of my post-processing black and white has become very specific. And this film simulation ain't it. So
Really?
I'm really climbing uphill with this. Now, I'm realizing that there's some subjects that probably work better for this film simulation. But I'm trying to think, like when I was a kid and I was shooting Tri-X, I didn't really care about that. I thought I could get what I wanted to out of any situation, but that's clearly not the case. So, and I had shared in the Discord chat that I wasn't having fun. I was just going out and shooting and looking at these pictures and like, those look like Tri-X. But the tones are not my tones. They're the grain is not my grain. It's just but I'm sticking with it. Like I know that if I stick with it, if I abandon it, all I'll have is the negative experience of using the film simulation. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm just adapting and working to put my ego aside so that I can create something out of this. So when I go shoot at the rodeo, I'll do all the sports stuff that I do, and I'll do, stuff around the dance or whatever. And then I may collect people and take pictures of them with the Tri-X, with the flash, and we'll see where things come. And then how things go. And I'm going to read and just kind of study up on this Zanshin thing and see if I can apply it to it won't be to the sports work, although it maybe I will just shoot a single frame, when the horse is going around the barrel, as opposed to 5 or 6 frames 5 or 6 frames a second. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe because I don't this year I don't have an agenda on what it is I want to shoot. I'm not thinking much about it. I will go and I will look like I'm doing the same thing I always do anyway, but the mindset will be different. And if it's going to be this, maybe I'll just do one shot of the rodeo, or of the saddle bronc, or the tie down roping, or the whatever. I'll just take one shot per run and just pose it to a collection. Because I'm not really, I'll say I'll abandon my need to post stuff that came out of a series of 4 frames a second. I don't need that. I don't care. I've shot enough rodeo. I've got pictures that I like. And so I think I'm going to take this as a sign to try and do that and make something of it. Now, the weather forecast is for rain, so that might make things even more interesting. If the track, the arena is muddy, then it's a completely outdoor affair. So if it's muddy, that'll be interesting. I've shot muddy conditions before, so that might be fun and interesting, and maybe it'll
be
work
overcast
for
too.
triax.
Be overcast.
Yeah, overcast.
Well.
Yeah.
So
that'll flatten the light now.
Yeah.
That'll flatten things out. Now, that triax simulation, they say you can let ISO go up to 1600, so fine. If there's a little bit more grain added to it, if I want to use a smaller aperture, I can. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll be interested in seeing that.
Yeah. So I just thought I thought it was interesting. I started like, oh yeah, film simulations, and you're saying film simulations are super fun, and I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling it. Maybe if I did a color one, I think I did a Kodak one 5 or 8 years ago that I posted. That was kind of interesting. I walked through our Inglewood neighborhood and I took some pictures in the reds with that deep blood red color, and that was kind of fun. But no, I think I'm going to keep on with this triax sim, and we'll see where it goes. A recipe. I guess we're calling them recipes. So, yeah I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. And also, as you were talking about that, we have all these crutches, and the crutch of multiple frames per second means that, you take 5 or 6 frames a second, you're going to get the bird right in the shot, no matter what. One of them will probably be in focus. You're going to get the horses running, one of them will be perfect, but you limit yourself to the one shot. And as a challenge to do, and to also be confident in the process, like maybe even confident in yourself, that you know enough. Because you used to do this film, and when you did it with film, you were pretty confident, right? And like I said, you sent your film back, you're pretty sure you knew what you were going to get back. And yet somehow back with, now that we're doing multiple frames and we have LCD screens to check things a million times, that we've offloaded some of that pressure. And I don't know if I want to say being lazy about it. I don't think we're being lazy, but we are.
Your energy goes somewhere else. Yeah. There's a certain, you don't have to put energy into the shooting, like worry is whatever. Making absolutely sure you're going to, no, but I mean, the energy goes into that instant, right?
Right.
That you think there were the peak of action happens. And
yeah,
it was written in all those starter books about photography, is get the peak of action when the basketball's like at the top of its arc, or
right. So pay attention to that. Like that's going back to what we were talking about before, is being present and being aware of it, rather than saying, well, I'm going to spray and pray. I know one of the shots will come out. The new Sony cameras can shoot it at some incredible amount of frames per second. At this point, it's just video, and you're just grabbing a shot, which, to me is no longer photography. I mean, again, I don't have a huge problem with it, but if we give all that stuff away to the camera, then how enjoyable is it as a process? If you're just saying, like, I'm just going to take a picture, I'm going to set my camera up about 100 frames a second, which is basically video, and, I'll pull one frame out and I'll be fine, And maybe if you're working a job, sure, that's fine. But I think we're missing out some of the reason why we've gotten into this, I hate to say hobby, but into this discipline. We want to take pictures. We want to be mindful. We want to sort of remember these things. We want to have the experience. And I think we can give that stuff away if we're too reliant on all the other stuff. So I like that, putting the limitation on, like you're doing with Tri-X and, whatever. So, but that being said, let's wrap this up soon, but I want to talk about the little project that you suggested.
Yeah, I saw on, I think it was a Substack article, and forgive me, I cannot remember whose content it was, but this gentleman and a friend decided to do a project. They call it a collaboration. One photographer would take, I think their project is 5 pictures. So each person would come up with 5 pictures, send them over to the other person to evaluate, look at, and then create 5 pictures of their own based on what the first photographer had done. And then there'd be this kind of back and forth, kind of like a word association almost. So I thought, why don't you and I try that? We both kind of said here in the last couple of shows that we've been in kind of a doldrum phase. So why don't we try this? So I dared you, and I said, who goes first? Whoever's got their camera close to them. Oh, mine's just 2 feet away. And all this while you were offline. So I guess I really wanted to do it. So.
Well, we're doing it a little different, right? I mean, so far it's been like a volley, and we've only done 1 shot a piece so far, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's my turn. So, and you know what it's like getting stuff out of me lately. So,
I actually kind of like the idea of, it's almost like a game of telephone in a way. Like you sent me a picture, some houses through trees, right? So there's a lot of vertical lines through the trees. And you were saying you want it to be more like an improvisation.
Yeah, I want this to be unbounded. Just if you want to do something that's conceptually or theme based as opposed to what's physically or what's actually in the picture.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just do whatever that picture's doing for you. Take a picture that volleys back, whatever it is. It doesn't matter.
It'll be very interesting to see these in progression, because if we do it one by one, then each one is riffing off the other and somehow. So there is a linear progression to it, right? And so the picture I sent back to you, volleyed to you, in fact, we should probably call it volley, was like, my brain has sometimes a hard time, like, stepping out of the, like, how am I saying this? Totally riffing off of your image. Like, I could have gone with color. I could have gone with, there's a million things, or I could have just
my first image was in color too, which is unusual. I think it worked.
Yes, it was.
As a color picture. Yeah.
And I couldn't think of something, but I did want to sort of mimic your vertical lines. That was like me thinking a little bit more of like following some geometric aspect of your image. But that's fine, because I think part of the exercise you will end up happening is the further we go along on this, the more, at least for me, I can imagine sort of breaking out of this, trying to find a physical aspect to a picture of yours that I want to include in mine, and maybe finding something else. But this is like making pancakes. Like, maybe the first couple pancakes are not great, although I like them because they got a lot of butter on them. But anyway, so the picture I volleyed back to you
Here,
was
Dad,
a shot
you
I
eat
took.
these ones. I get that.
Yeah. The picture I volleyed back to you is a shot I did at the flea market. Actually at a donut shop. There was we were waiting for donuts, and there were these windows in this sort of little camper that they were cooking donuts in. And I was photographing the people through it. There were some people through it. And so it is sort of a pretty obvious riff on your shot with a vertical line seeing through something, and what's in behind. But I kind of liked that. Like, I liked that if you look at the 2 pictures together, you may not see the immediate connection, right? But maybe you do see one. And then I'll be really curious how my picture rubs off on you. And then as we go down the line,
I will tell you, I did try on the weekend. On the weekend was my birthday, and we drove an hour and a little bit north to go to a nostalgic concert. So it was a concert from a band that was really big when Marcy and I were in junior high. And there's one remaining member, and he's getting older and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, being typical me, Mr. Photojournalist here, I would take pictures of people in the crowd, because there's lots of people in your image in different scales and in different kind of divided up within the frames of the structure of that trailer, that kiosk. And so I thought I could just riff on the people, and people standing watching a concert. They're interesting pictures. I've never done that kind of work before. but I got some interesting pictures, but I couldn't mate them to what I felt I was getting out of yours. And so part of this weekend will also be, I'll also be looking for an image that will help satisfy my turn in the volley. So
yeah.
And I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that I went in with the hope of trying to get something that was going to work, and it didn't, and that's okay.
That's
Failures,
fine, right? Yeah.
When it comes to photography, not like Apollo 13, failure is always an option.
Yes, really.
So
yeah, I like the idea that there's no rush to this. There's the back and forth. There's the surprise of this, because I don't know what you're going to make next, and then I'm going to think about what is it going to inspire in me to do. And so this is kind of a nice way to get out of the doldrums, as you're talking about. This is I wasn't expecting something like this, and so I would recommend, anybody listening out there, find a partner and do this kind of thing. Do a back and forth volley. We should just call it volley or something. Volley.
Okay. Absolutely.
We can make a zine or something like that. Call it volley. All right. Well, that's cool. We'll follow up on that, and we'll see where we're at by the next episode.
Okay.
Cool. We're going. All right, my friend. I think we've put people to sleep now. We've talked for a really long time.
Well, we can't make it through YouTube videos, so
we can't make it through.
Okay, we expect people to.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
People are going to fall asleep in this YouTube video for sure. Yeah, well, I'll talk about that later. I want to end now on a wonderful note. So where are we finding you in the world, my friend?
You'll find me on Vero X, formerly Twitter, and Blue Sky on @WeRosinPhoto. On Instagram, I am Ward Rosin Fine Art, which you'll see all my stream of consciousness stuff, and where you'll see the most work. I'm on Facebook at Ward Rosin Photo, and my website is rosin.ca. That's ROSIN. Where I'm selling the Japanese tourist photo book called Gaijin, and the Between Dust and Sky. This is a rodeo book I made with Mark 9 years ago now.
Wow. Yeah.
Actually, it was 10 years ago this year that we actually did photography. I can't believe that. It's been 10 years since we shot that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I know. We're getting old, man. And what about you, Antonio?
Okay, well, I'm on Blue Sky at AM Rosario. Instagram is not my stream of consciousness, but I post there. It's at AM Rosario Photo. My website is amrosario.com. Just look for AM Rosario. You'll find me. Facebook, which I post a lot on, is Rosario Photo. I would suggest you subscribe to our Substack newsletter, because Substack is such a nice place for us to do, what did you say, the sort of the back end of this show? Where we put stuff.
The backfill. We backfill our show.
Backfill, yeah. So subscribe to our Substack at streetshots.substack.com. And there's a couple ways you could support us. One is by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Antonio Rosario. Help pay for some of the bills that we're incurring on this. That'd be great. You become a honorary producer if you do. And the other way to support us would be buying our prints. Ward's got his prints on his website, rosin.ca, and I have a print shop at my website at amrosario.com. So I would love to sell people prints, and so go check them out and support us that way, because it's a good way to pay for the show as well. Show us your love. But we keep this, we haven't taken time. We don't take, advertisers. I never want that really for the show. I thought about it and stuff, but I don't want to be beholden to that. I know people have, I don't have a problem with people having, sponsors. I just think it's for us, people talk about us being like, listening to us if we were in a bar or coffee shop. I can't imagine, stopping and turning around and saying, would you buy this coffee? Just like, this is Atlas brand coffee. It's great, so I wouldn't want to do that. But anyway, well, thinking that I didn't have anything to talk about tonight, we ended up talking for a while, so I'm quite pleased.
Good. We had lots to talk about.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for joining me tonight, my friend.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
255 episodes. That's quite a chunk of time. I know we've been doing this for a while, so I'm very grateful again to you for being part of this project. Yeah.
And I love doing it. And this is meant to be, I think. There's I really feel
and it's good seeing you too, and hopefully we start to build up people who want to watch us. I know it can be terribly exciting.
I can't watch it. I'm just telling you.
I know. I can't listen to this, so Either way, we're both in the thing. But hopefully, we'll grab people another way people who want to see us and stuff. And so anyway, we're working on it. That being said, everybody, we'll see you in June, middle of June. Yeah.
All right.
Probably around summertime. Yeah, when summer starts.
Getting there.
Yeah, and everybody. So Ward and everybody, you guys have a good night, and Ward, I'll see you later.
You bet. We'll see you.